Hi, I'm Ollie from the Wensleydale Creamery, and today I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful heritage tomato salad with Wensleydale pesto, a Wensleydale mousse, crispy capers and honey walnuts. So first of all, we need to get our chef brains on, making sure we have all of our ingredients laid out, making sure we have our oven preheated to 180 and all of our utensils ready and our blenders ready. So the first step is we're going to start to toast the pine nuts for the pesto. The reason why we do this is to add another layer of flavour. As they roast in colour, the flavour becomes deeper and more complex. So, on a metal tray, we want to spread our pine nuts out evenly and place into the oven. So the pine nuts are in roasting, so now we're going to make a start on our honey walnuts. So we want a pan on a medium heat. We don't want the pan to be too hot because there's a fine line between the walnuts being nicely coloured and caramelised and burnt. So we want to keep an eye on it and make sure they don't go too far. So we're going to go in with our honey. You can use clear honey or set honey, it's down to you. So the honey's in and it's starting to melt. To that, we're going to add our butter. I'm using butter from the Wensleydale Creamery. It's a fantastic day up here in Hawes, so perfect for a salad in your garden or with a barbecue. So the honey is softened, so we go in with our butter. And we really don't want this to burn, because when it burns, our walnuts will be bitter and acrid and not sweet. And when we're cooking, the best guidelines to use are our senses. And the way to tell when it's gone too far is when the colour starts to darken to a black and when you smell an acrid burning smell. So we want to keep the mix working until the butter is melted and the honey combined. Next, we go in with our handful of walnuts. We want to keep our pan on a gentle heat, and we're just looking to keep the walnuts moving, and they act like sponges for the flavour. And as they cook, they'll inhale, if you will, all the sweetness from the honey and the richness of the butter. It doesn't matter if you've used salted or unsalted butter. I've used salted butter as a nice counterpoint to the sweet honey. So as you can see now, we're getting a few bubbles that are coming up and our walnuts are just starting to soften. If you've got any questions about the food that we're cooking today, you can feel free to ask me and I'll try my best to get it answered. You can refer to our website where you can buy all the cheeses you'll need today, next to a whole range of beautiful produce from Yorkshire and further afield. So as we're moving our mix around, we can see the butter and honey just starting to darken slightly. We're watching carefully that it's not going to burn. That's cooking nicely. So next, we're going to make a start on getting everything ready for our pesto. I'm going to be using basil and parsley. Basil for the fragrance and the slight spice, and parsley for the clean, fresh taste. Make sure that you keep a few of these nice basil tops for garnish when we're finished. And when we're handling basil, we want to be very gentle and delicate, so the flavour stays in the leaf and not on our fingers. We're also keeping an eye on our honey walnuts. So as you can see now, it's starting to foam and the butter and honey is starting to coat the walnuts and really be absorbed into them. There's no real set time about how long this is going to take. You've got to use your cook's instinct. And again, you're looking for the colour change. They'll go from dark to slightly light when they're ready. And again, we're being careful that we're not burning them and we are keeping our eyes peeled for any darkening of the honey and butter, and we are keeping our wits about us for any acrid burning smell. So these are softening nicely. I've got quite a fierce induction hob, so mine are ready. It could take a bit longer at home, but just be patient. And the key points are a slightly softer nut and a slightly lighter colour. Feel free to drop us a comment telling us where you are. It's a beautiful day up here in the Yorkshire Dales. We've got incredible sunshine. So with a perforated spoon, we want to remove the walnuts from the cooking liquor. I've used walnuts here, but you can use any other type of nuts you can get your hand on. This would work well with peanuts, cashew nuts, or even some flaked almonds. Now we don't want to get too much of the cooking liquor onto our tray, because when it cooks it becomes very hard to wash. We also want to make sure our walnuts are evenly spaced and the tray isn't crowded, so they cook evenly and nicely. So into the oven at 180. At home you might want to set a timer. It takes usually about 10 minutes, and again there's a very fine line between being nicely caramelised and completely ruined. And it is a very expensive mistake to make, so make sure you set a timer and make sure you check them. So back to our pesto. We go in with the basil, and don't worry about the stalks, it's all going to be flavour. So again we're using the basil for fragrance and spice. And we're using a little bit of flat leaf parsley for that elegant, clean taste. We think of pesto, and we usually think of a hard Italian cheese, such as Parmesan. But using our Yorkshire Wensleydale, it will add a unique layer of flavour due to its crumbly texture. So, we're going to pulse these leaves until they're roughly chopped. Fantastic. So we've just got the leaves roughly chopped, as you can see. As the leaves start to break down, you'll get that beautiful smell of the basil and the clean, fresh smell of the parsley. Now we go into our oven and we remove our toasted pine nuts. The colour we're looking for is nicely caramelised and nicely dark. Again, this adds another layer of flavour we wouldn't usually get. So we go in with our pine nuts. Don't be afraid to go bold, the more the better. And again, the same process as before. We're going to pulse it until it's roughly chopped. So the blender goes on. And it's pulsed. Next, we're going to add our Yorkshire Wensleydale cheese. Our cheese is quite unique in its creamy, crumbly flavour, and the reason why it crumbles is we add more starter culture to our curds and whey. This feeds off the naturally occurring lactose and leads to slightly higher levels of acidity, which allows the curds to form a rigid structure, which means that you can literally just crumble it into your dishes. So we're going to go in with our Yorkshire Wensleydale. And watch how it leaves my fingers beautifully clean as it crumbles. We get asked a lot why our cheese doesn't melt, and that's a bit of a trick question because it won't ooze or go greasy like a cheddar will, but it will gratinate and colour, and the flavour will become more complex and deep. So our cheese is in. If we're going too fast, or if there's any steps that you've missed, you can find all these recipes and methods on our website. So we pulse that until everything is combined. I've used basil and parsley, but this pesto works well with any green leaf that you have in the house. Rocket or spinach are suitable alternatives. So we've just had a question, a very good question. Why is it that the heritage tomatoes go so well with the Wensleydale? And I guess the answer would be that heritage tomatoes are very fragrant and richer than your normal kind of vine tomato. And the creamy, clean taste of our cheese complements it nicely. It's a nice counterpoint. So back to the pesto. We've got our pine nuts and our cheese, and now we're going to emulsify it with alternating splashes of Yorkshire rapeseed and olive oil. The olive oil for the rich, deep flavour, and the Yorkshire rapeseed just to lift it and kind of add a bit of colour. So, back on with our blender. What's your favourite way to make pesto? Don't forget to drop us a comment with your recipes. So we'll let the blender do its work, and you'll know when it's done its work because the pesto takes on that beautiful, vibrant green colour. We're going to transfer this pesto to a bowl and set aside. Just remember, we keep ourselves neat and tidy when we cook, so there's no big clean-up job at the end. And now, our beautiful honey walnuts are ready. So the taste of a Wensleydale pesto is different to a regular pesto. It's slightly less acidic, it's a cleaner, more fresh taste, it's perhaps a bit lighter and less greasy. And the beauty of this recipe is you're going to have some pesto and mousse left over. We'll get to the mousse in a second. And what better way to use up these leftovers than on top of a beautiful tagliatelle or an Italian pasta called orzo? The possibilities are endless. So, honey walnuts done, nice colour, and if you were here you could smell the beautiful caramelised honey smell. Next, we're going to cut our heritage tomatoes. These can be quite hard to source, but up here in the north we have a supermarket called Booth's, down south it's Waitrose. They'll carry a range of these, or any farmer's market or good quality greengrocer. Now the secret to plating this dish up well is interesting angles with our tomatoes. So, we want a nice sharp knife, and we want to alternate the angle of our wrist to ensure that these tomatoes are not uniform. So, the more irregular and wacky and wonderful the angles, the better. It adds a flair of drama to the plate, a bit of theatre, and it means when lockdown's over, you can really wow your friends with this beautiful salad. Just remember, keep your questions coming. Give us a like and give us a thumbs up. So we're placing these into a bowl. And we're alternating the angle of our wrist to make sure that these are interesting angles. We're not looking for anything uniform or regular. And again, as these are being cut, the smell coming off these is incredible. If you can't find any heritage, you can also use any nice ripe vine tomatoes or anything you have to hand. What's the weather like where you are? It's gorgeous here. Feel free to give us a comment and let us know if it's sunny where you are. So, now they're cut, we're going to start the maceration process with some beautiful Yorkshire rapeseed oil. Go heavy on this. Next, we're going to season well with sea salt. That's going in. Now we want to mix this around with our clean hands, of course, and leave it on a sunny windowsill or next to your cooker, somewhere with a bit of heat. and all the oil and coarse salt will start to macerate and break down these beautiful tomatoes. So pesto is done, tomatoes are macerating, walnuts are roasting. Let's crack on with our mousse, keeping ourselves neat and tidy. So most people think of a mousse as a sweet dish, which it can be, a chocolate mousse. This one's going to be savoury, and it sounds relatively complicated, but when you see, it's quite easy. So the first step is in with your double cream. I've used about 400 to 500 mils here. You can find all of these recipes and the methods and a full range of beautiful produce from Yorkshire's natural larder on our website. This salad would be perfect for a barbecue, perfect for a starter for a dinner party, and what we're aiming to do is just elevate your home cooking slightly and maybe use our cheese products in ways that you wouldn't necessarily think about. So, the cream is in our blender. Next we're going to cut our Wensleydale. And look how beautiful and clean this knife is when it cuts through the cheese. So cream's in the blender, and we're going to crumble our cheese in. The secret here is not overworking our cream. We want a smooth, light texture, but we don't want it to be thick and grainy. So again, we're going to use our cook's sense to know when this has happened. It's better to be a bit looser than too firm, because we can finish it off in a heavy bowl by hand and get those soft peaks that we're looking for. So now we're going to blend it. And again, pulse your blender and check, pulse again, make sure you don't overwork it. That's come together very nicely. So we're going to transfer this into a heavy bowl. Now the cream and the cheese are in. Next, we're going to fold in our creme fraiche. This creme fraiche will make it a bit tangy, a bit more acidic, and we'll just lift it slightly. We've just got a question here, another very good question, asking, can you add any chopped chives to the mousse? And the answer is absolutely yes. Any herb that you want. Chives would give you the slightly savoury kind of onion flavour. Parsley would be the clean and fresh taste. But it's any herb that you like. These recipes are not kind of straitjackets. They're frameworks you can build your own cooking around, and you can put your own personality in. So absolutely, chopped chives would be a very nice addition. Now we're going to finish by hand, and we want to whip this to soft peaks. And again, we don't want to overwork it, and we want to use our cook's sense to know when it's ready. So you can see the consistency that we've got here. We've just had another comment saying that someone wishes they had my blender. It's a good blender, but jobs like pesto and mousse, it's not hard work for the blender to do. So anyone that you have in the house would do the trick quite well. So we're going to set aside our mousse to chill in the fridge. And now we're getting close to being ready. So it's time to assemble the dish. Now this dish, kind of most people would associate a summery salad like this with feta. But we believe that our Yorkshire Wensleydale cheese has a nicer texture. It crumbles in nicely and it's less slimy. So, to plate up, the first thing is we're going to crumble a few of our candied walnuts onto the bottom of the plate. This is going to add a little bit of texture and a little bit of crunch, so there's texture right through the dish. And it's also going to stop the ingredients from sliding around. We think this dish will be good for a barbecue or a dinner party. Feel free to let us know what you think it will be good for. And again, you can find all these recipes, in case there's anything that you've missed, on our website, where you can also buy a range of beautiful produce from Yorkshire and further afield. So, once we've placed our walnuts in the bottom of the plate, we start to assemble the dish. Now what we're looking for here is a real sense of theatre and drama. And we do this by interlaying the colours and shapes. So green on yellow, yellow on red. And this wants to be ad hoc. It doesn't want to be uniform because it would lose the character of the dish. It's quite a playful salad. It's not what you'd think of. So the interesting angles that we cut are now looking beautiful on the plate, making sure that we use lots of different colours, and we're gentle when we place these. We've gone through a lot of effort to get to this stage, so let's make it look nice. That's the tomatoes in. So next it's time to add our pesto. So our pesto is a beautiful, vibrant green colour, and we're looking for big taste on the pesto and big flavour. So we're going to do a beautiful quenelle, which is a French technique that looks very pretty and dainty. Remember, go big with your pesto, it's one of the main flavour components on your plate. Once you've got your quenelle, this goes centrally in the middle of the dish. Next, we're going to layer on our walnuts. And just remember, this isn't going to taste the same as a usual pesto. It's going to be lighter and less acidic, which means you can have more on the plate without being overpowering. So we're layering our honeyed walnuts. Make sure they're visible so people can see all the hard work you've done to get here. So next we're going to add our mousse. So I'm going to use a hot spoon and I'm just going to rocher this on. Beautiful rocher there. I'm going to place this next to our Wensleydale pesto. We're now going to dress it with some beautiful fresh salad leaves. There's no right or wrong leaves to use here, just whatever you have. Now you want to place these gently. You've worked hard to get the dish looking this dainty, so you want to make sure the finishing flourishes do it justice. I've got some beautiful red chard here, some beautiful pea shoot tendrils. You want to add some height to the dish, some real drama. Wonderful. That's looking lovely. Next, we're going to dress it with a little bit more of our olive oil round the edge of the plate with our finger just over the edge to stop it from coming out too quickly. And to finish, of course, we're going to crumble our beautiful Yorkshire Wensleydale cheese. We're going to add some capers around the edge for a little bit of saltiness and acidity. And here we have it, a heritage tomato salad with Wensleydale mousse, Wensleydale pesto, pea shoots and capers. Come back next week for the second instalment of Crumble It, where I'm going to show you how to make some more beautiful dishes, showcasing the best English produce using our Yorkshire Wensleydale cheese. Thank you.